Well, hello everybody. Well, a little late today. Brian's having technical issues in Texas. I guess it must have that same issue you guys had a few years ago with all the ice and everything.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's just raining a little bit today, but my internet speed has been so yeah.
What's like that?
You shush your mouth.
All right. So today I was talking about. I just want to kind of get through it real quick. I don't want to go for a very long time because I don't know how your internet is going to make it. So one of the things we wanted to really focus on was prospecting. A while back, you actually talked about the different types of prospecting, and I actually thought, and please don't take this wrong, we're going to go a different route. So maybe we have a better communication between the two of us ahead of time.
We're the odd couple. It's good.
Yeah, that's right. No, because I'm always about how do I better myself? How can I do more to do better in prospecting? But then I listened to, what was that, high value or whatever prospect. I forget the name of the Audible I was listening to,
I'm
but I
looking.
noticed that's okay. Mark, I know it's Mark Hunter.
High
I do.
Profit Prospecting by Mark
Okay.
Hunter, CSP.
Yeah. So for me, I listened to that, and it brings you back to the fact that if you don't prospect, I was going to call this prospect or die, kind of like differentiate or die,
Mhm.
the book, because if you do not prospect, you do not have clients, you do not have sales, you do not get paid.
Yes.
Plain and simple. You Most of the time, the issue for a salesperson isn't the leads are weak. It's prospecting and knowing how to do it. And I think a lot of us just forget that. For myself, for the past, 4 months, I've really had to get back into doing differently than we did for 2.5 years, where everybody called us, right? It was a
Hmm.
different, even though I did a lot of purchase business, the refinance business just came. I didn't have to search for that. That just came. I didn't focus on that. I always focus on purchase, which means I have to have relationships with different types of people in different types industry to get that type of business. Right. And I think a lot of us, as we get busier, we forget to do the prospecting. And what was nice about what I was listening to earlier, that book, was the fact that it reminded us that a quarter of your time has to be for prospecting, period. When you're at a point where, like we are, and you're busy, you still have to do a quarter of the time prospecting.
Hmm.
And I think most people forget that because there's so many things that get in the way.
Well,
Right?
coming from an account manager background, even we got lazy. If we've got our contacts, and if we didn't go in, and prospecting can be with an existing client too, right? Like getting in and getting to know the other potential players in a.
Actually, well, that would be going through the quarter I'm talking about is
Mhm.
people you don't really know that you're trying, or were referred to, that you're trying to get business from. Okay.
Right. Hmm.
Existing accounts is a quarter of the business that you have to work also, but
Right.
that's not considered under the quarter prospecting.
Right.
Are you following me?
Yep.
And we try to lump all, well, I just talked to all my real estate agents and now we're all good. Yeah, that's great. But what about all the leads that you were given to go through? How many times have you called them or talked? See the word I said, call them?
That's a weird
Because
concept.
yeah, because a lot of prospecting, people want to send an email, send a text,
Hmm.
but for some reason they do not want to have a conversation with people. And that, I think, that is what is a lost art that you need to pick back up. Prospecting is calling them, emailing them, texting them, and then also some type of social media,
So
right?
there's a study out right now that for younger people, the nerve wrackingness of making a phone call is worse than public speaking right now because they've grown up in, I can take the perfect selfies. They've grown up in a perfection society where I want the perfect picture. They don't have to take it to Kodak. Yes, we're old. They can craft the perfect email, craft the perfect text. So the idea of live conversations and or face to face meetings is scary to them as public speaking is to anybody else today. That's that level of stress, right, that they experience. And that's why people are leaning back on, well, I'll just send an email or a text because then they think I can craft it, I can control it. They don't know how to do things on the fly and actually how to build relationships again.
Right. And we're talking about prospecting, but
Mhm.
this was the same thing I had with my staff during the busiest time we had. I was told them, call so and so because of this, whatever. And I come back, did you do it? No, I sent them an email.
Right.
I get 600 emails a day and I don't even look at them. I wait for my staff to tell me, did you see this? And then I know it's important. that's where I am with emails, except for my other one, which
Mhm.
I'm not giving out here, that people have that's more personal. That, and I'm not talking my personal email because I don't even look at that. Also, I just yeah, the other day, the pool company, we're canceling your pool service because you didn't pay last month. I thought we were on auto. No, we don't
Yeah.
do that. We sent you an email, ma'am. I don't look at that account except once every couple months.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
anyway,
my Hotmail. My Hotmail is my junk account.
right, but it's like, okay, and so I said, the only reason I saw this is because was in spam. Occasionally when I have nothing to do, I'll just go to spam to see what's there,
Right.
and it was there. And so that's the whole thing about email. People don't really look at it, but some people do. And that's why you have to use multiple forms of communication with people while you're prospecting. It can't just be one way. And
Yeah.
a lot of times people go, I'm going to do TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that kind of social media. And that is my prospecting. No, it's not. It's only part of it.
The organic method that's out there right now?
No, it
Yes.
works, but it's
Mhm.
part of, all right. So of the prospecting gamma, you need to, every way you can prospect to somebody and be in front of
Mhm.
somebody is what you need to do. Social media is huge. So is emailing. So is texting. So is calling. Showing up to different organizations to talk to people. Whatever works. But for me, it's just the phone call. I can talk because in 2 seconds I can find out if they don't want to ever talk to me again.
Mhm.
Right. And they actually say when you talk to somebody, don't ask them if you call if this is a good time
Do you think
because
people
it's
are hesitant
never
to call because of that no call list and worried of I know there was a few years ago, people were worried about fines of if you called someone that you weren't supposed to call. So I know people had to go back and look at how do I get
I
permission to call
I
people?
don't do a list.
Yeah.
They have actually somewhat inquired or was given as a referral. I'm not calling a rotor list of people to
Right.
find out if they want to. Now, I mean, with all this AI, I was like, I hate to say this, but if we could get a perfect sales AI to do this type of calling,
Mhm.
who will mimic the person's accent, the voice, opposite gender, opposites, everything, and then it would be worth a lot of money, and that's where it should go.
Well, I sent you something yesterday where somebody did an ad and it was done through AI and his voice.
Right, I
Yeah.
understand that, but
Very good.
that's
Yeah.
I'm talking about talking on a telephone to
Right.
somebody, that's being able to quickly change to that tones, inflection, everything that we learn from being talking to people on the phone
Mhm.
that other people never learned. But you're right, most people hate talking to people.
There's software with the industry I used to be in that could it was tracking. So we did the random sampling of customer calls and you name it, but it could sense sentiment and it would create word cloud. So if there was somebody was frustrated when they said something, it would make that word larger. So knowing that that technology is already out there, then combining with the AI, I think you're right. That AI will be able to adapt to the tonality and the expression of the person they're talking to just as easily as a person can, and sometimes even better. People get half listen on a phone call, AI will listen completely.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the whole thing about sales. They say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use what you have the most of.
mhm,
That would be your ears, just in case you didn't
I
know,
know.
Brian.
I know you said 2. I can count. Look, as long as I don't have to count past 10, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, and so for me with this prospect, I want to go more in depth with this over the next few weeks. I didn't want to go so depth today, but I want to break this into many components and
Mhm,
have those different components over the next few weeks. Each we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually at 10, unless, there's issues.
right.
And then have a few people come in to talk about how they've done it differently and what they're seeing good response from. Does that work for
Absolutely.
what you want to do? Does that
Yeah,
work?
absolutely. We can bring in I'll talk to Joe and see what week we can get him on. He does BDC stuff for cars, right? So for dealerships, how do they call people, get prospects in? And they have a combination of people coming in through the web plus people who bought cars years ago. So it'd be interesting
Right.
to hear all the different way of prospecting old
Well,
clients and new stuff.
I think even to today, people don't, and the CRMs that people have that don't even use to this day.
Mhm.
It took me being in this business 10 years before I implemented a CRM.
Right.
So I could have had 5,000 different, but truly your list is worth where the money is. And that's
Mhm.
where you want to cultivate that and keep in contact with them as they're your clients. But back to your statement about calling people and email those, you have to give them a way to opt out, right?
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
but if they've actually had a conversation or they ask for something, then I'll barred until they tell you to stop,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Because that and then how I found that out is that software that everybody's using now, Go Go High Level.
Oh, yeah.
It was through this other company that I was using. They were doing all this marketing for me and sending me all these leads. And it was through the system that I automatically gave them 12 different voicemails of mine, different things to say from me. So it was almost like an somewhat of an AI, but it wasn't. But it's just the fact that when someone called in, they got a voicemail from me. Oh, I missed your call. Sorry to hear about that. Well,
Mm,
and that kind of stuff. And it was, and that software is amazing and it works really well. And that's why now I have it and I'm creating certain things for me in my industry that's differently than what they were doing.
gotcha.
But yeah, it's just being able to contact people through text, email, all in one little place and be able to change it the way you want.
Well, that's the podcast I was just on earlier this morning. That's what we talked about. Is not everybody's wired the same. Some people want a text. Some people want a phone call. Some people want an email. Some people you'll get them with video messaging. So you got to figure out how is each person responding. Try all the different methods. Phone calling is absolutely great, especially to higher the ticket items. So anything over $1,000, phone calls have to be involved. Conversion at anything over $1,000 with the prospect, people won't just invest the money typically without some type of discovery call, prospecting call, you name it. But cheaper stuff, yeah, you can get away with it, but that's not the industry most people are in. They're not in the $100 package things. They're in the 1,000 and higher, high ticket sales.
Right. And that's what we're going to focus on. So
Mhm.
don't worry. I'll shave in the next couple of days to make myself more presentable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be in 2 weeks
You still
when I
didn't
get,
change the hat out.
no, I couldn't, I don't have another one. It's left at home. I was setting up my other studio, which is because I wanted to have something different behind me, and now the whole office is studios everywhere, different studios. But I couldn't get a monitor to work, so that's why I'm back here. So little
Technology. That's
things,
what you get for making fun of
technology.
my internet issues, right? You can't get
I
regular
still was
technology.
fine. I was ready to go, so it had
Oh,
nothing to do
yeah.
with anything else.
Hey,
But
I
back
don't
to
know.
so I know we didn't go really far into prospecting today, but I really want to break it down by different components over the next few episodes of 30 minutes and have people on to talk about that because I think it's really important, especially today. We talked about this before about sales, how we were how do I put this? It was such low-lying fruit over the last 2.5 years
Mhm.
that for everybody wanted something. Everybody had extra money. Everybody wanted to buy a house. Everybody wanted to do this. And now it's a little different. And so you really
Oh,
have to work hard and prospect and do it better than the next person because everybody's doing it. Here's a
oh, yeah.
prime example. We have this thing in our industry. It's a trigger lead where they run credit, a hard inquiry, and then all of a sudden they sell that to a bunch of mortgage companies to call, right? And it's not really the mortgage company's call, but some Philippines or some other place they're
Mhm.
doing all the calling. One person got 92 calls.
I to this day sold my house 2.5 years ago, and I'll still get calls on it. And I just tell them you bought bad leads.
Right.
I'm just
And that's what you, yeah. And that's what's important about being focused on the professional in the industry, professional, how you do certain things and talking
Mhm.
to everybody. I was asked to speak at this little mortgage thing that has to do with be an authority in the industry. And it's because you need to be different than everybody else.
Right.
And right, you need to have something, but on the prospecting side, what's helped me drastically in the last 2 weeks is, hey, let me send you a pre-copy of my book so you can understand where we're at. I sent it to one of the people who were just looking. I had pre-qualified them and going through the process, and I sent them my book, and she came back and she said, I read that thing cover to cover, and it helps me immensely. By the way, are we fully underwritten, pre-approved? That's in the book.
Ah.
So what I'm getting at is you need to separate yourself out on top of actually doing the work.
Well, that's just it. Most things have become a commodity this day and age. I hate to say it that way, but very rarely do you have something that is a differentiator. So you have to be that, right? I mean,
Mhm.
almost everything else, once you even come up with something, your competition's on your heels within 3 to 6 months of mimicking what you have. So you've got to find a way to differentiate, especially if you're selling something.
Right. So especially with the way there's just so many people chasing so few leads right
Oh,
now.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Only
right.
thing we can do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Thursday we'll break down different techniques and different things, and we'll go through those, and then
Mhm.
we'll figure out next Tuesday what we'll do. In the following week, we'll have somebody in to talk about how they're doing it differently.
Yeah. What was the week we were going to take off? Is that you're still
We
going to do
are.
next week? Well, you'll be
I'm,
traveling, right? So
yeah, but
yeah.
I'm available.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I think good. I will probably miss the 28th.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll work from there. All right.
Yeah. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Sorry we were late today. Sorry we didn't have a ton of information today, but we did want to just kind of give a little bit about what we plan on doing over the next few weeks. All
Yep.
right. Thank you. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Sorry. Must be my internet.